Welcome to the 7th episode of Your Team Number, the Amazing Race 31 podcast from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Armstrong, and joining me as always is the Canadian who is excluded from conversations based on his Instagram following, Logan Saunders.
Good evening.
And the lady who has a bit of a history with bovines, Michelle Pierce-Denovan.
Yeah, hello.
It's an honour to have a Colin Christie inspired intro, Michelle. You should take the praise.
Okay. Yes, I did see a cow, I suppose, in April.
Discuss.
At the annual Royal Easter Show in Sydney.
Okay. You just saw a random cow.
Yeah, there was actually about 6 of them.
That's the whole story.
That is the whole story. Yes, I didn't touch the cow.
You did not have relations with that cow.
Oh, God.
Cows used to hang out behind my house for 15 years while growing up.
Really?
Yeah, because they would go through all the fields on the hillside behind my house, and for about a month, every 6 months, they would all be hanging out on just the road right behind my house, so they were right up to the fence. Can smell them from the house.
And also Logan
nice.
used to make them flower crowns.
Yes, I used to make them flower crowns, and I led them to school each day. Yeah. I couldn't find anything for show and tell, guys. Look who I brought in. Oh, squeeze through the door, Betsy.
And after my slightly pissy attitude over the past 2 weeks towards Amazing Race, this episode wasn't terrible. It was better than I expected because it wasn't entirely about the double U-turn. It was still not a good episode, but it was a better episode.
We had a self-drive leg. We have actual discussion that we can have over the first ever must-vote U-turn and the American version of Amazing Race.
Face-to-face U-turn nominations is what it's down as in my notes this time.
And then, of course, the fact that Leo and Jamal have ran 30 legs now and are somehow still struggling a whole ton during the past several episodes, especially for a team that won the first 2 legs of the season.
Fun fact, you know how Sherry and Cole have the worst average of any team to make the final 3?
Right.
I did a little bit of quick checking, and their record between legs 3 and 8 is only 1 place worse than Leo and Jamal's is in this season between legs 3 and 8.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's 6 1/3 they average in legs 3 to 8. Leo and Jamal average 6.17. So only 1 placement point better. So that just shows how badly they're doing. And Sherry and Cole, in that period of time, were saved by 2 non-eliminations.
And Leo and Jamal could have been saved by 3 non-eliminations if they wanted to. They could have gone for the record. And that's an even more bizarre record when you beat 10 teams and then 9 teams, and then you can barely beat anybody for the next 6 episodes.
I mean, they are only, 2 placement points above Chris and Brett now?
Yeah, and I guess the only team they're beating are the all-female non-Amazing Race teams. Or I guess there was no all-female Amazing Race team. Only the all-female teams they've been able to beat for the past 6 episodes.
So, before we actually properly get into the episode, where in the world is Logan Saunders?
Let's see. It depends on where you're listening from, but in terms of the Canadian government's eyes, I'm in the country of Kosovo. Does England recognize Kosovo?
Yes.
Good.
England actually has quite a large Kosovan community, I seem to remember. There's a couple of singers and actresses and things from Kosovo.
That's cool.
What have you been up to this week?
Not a whole lot. I'm in the capital, Pristina, and I have the largest apartment I've ever had in any of my travels. It is only 20 euros, and I have a whole living room, I have a dining room, I have a kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms.
Logan sent me the video a couple of days ago. It's ridiculous.
Yes, for 20 euros. I should post it online soon. Yeah, I sent it to a couple of other people as well.
crazy.
Considering in Australia, I spent just over 20 euros just for having a small private room and a shared bathroom.
Yep.
And talking of things that I've been sent this week, I do have to mention that our good friend Mr. Williams has made his stand-up debut. And he sent me the audio, and it was actually really good.
Oh, and?
No, he did that.
Yes, he's, as part of his midlife crisis, he's started doing stand-up comedy. And it's actually quite good.
Wow.
A few obvious jokes in his 10-minute set, but I was listening to it yesterday, and it was actually really good, and I'm really proud.
Aww.
And there is a very real chance that he could come to the comedy club quite near my workplace fairly soon, so I will be going if he does, to support him. So, previously 7 teams raced from Uganda to Switzerland. Nicole and Vitz were targeted in a U-turn plan, but Rachel's help backfired. Tyler and Corey won in a leg when nothing else happened, and it got fractious at the pit stop, where Nicole and Victor were saved by the final non-elimination leg of the season. And Phil likes to make a big thing of it being the final non-elimination leg. Just in case anyone got any ideas that the Final Four one's going to become a keep on racing leg, it's not. There is a definite elimination in the Final Four leg.
I like how it's just, oh yeah, right. Remember guys, this is the 3rd time I'm telling you this episode, but there's no more non-eliminations.
Just in case you forgot, the last team to arrive will be eliminated.
Yeah, the other teams who arrive before then will advance to the next episode. But if you're the last team, you will, yeah, you're going to be eliminated. Just is everyone clear on that? Does everyone understand? Okay.
And part of the reason that I didn't hate this leg as much, and I'm not going to say I like this leg because it was alright, but part of the reason I didn't hate this leg as much is because we got departure times. Yay, for what it's worth. So, Tyler and Corey leave at 4:56am, Colin and Christie at 5:03, Becca and Floyd at 5:04, Leo and Jamal at 5:09, Rachel and Elitha at 5:49, Chris and Brett at 5:50, and Nicole and Victor at 6:05. And teams must now drive to Ballenberg and head to the Spielhalle, where they must wait for more information, and it is an hours of operation, and they can all run in together at 7am.
In other words, they just opened it right when they knew all the teams were going to show up.
Yeah, it's almost like the pit stop lengths are now tailored to the departure times that they actually need them to have.
Huh. It's like they planned it.
And Colin and Christie depart, saying that they like to help people, and hopefully people will remember that when on a U-turn mat. And Rachel says that she has the leg appearance record and does an acceptance speech thanking Phil and everyone who supported her. And do you think the editors deliberately included that, given the sheer amount of backlash to Rachel and Elitha this season?
Possibly.
I think they did, as a deliberate wink-wink, nudge-nudge joke. And while they're waiting for the hall to open, Corey meets a cat, and Leo is also happy about it. And then Rachel and Elitha pull Leo and Jamal aside to try and clear the air over the U-turn drama last week. Chris is excluded because of his lack of Instagram followers.
I like how to resolve U-turn drama. They ensure there's more drama by getting super gossipy with Leo and Jamal. It's like, we're sorry about all the drama between Nicole and Victor. They said this, and we didn't mean that. We're going to do this, and now can we be friends? Can we be allies? It's like, wow, Rachel, Alyssa, just let them be. If you just say nothing about anybody else, you'll be able to blend in the background. Or people will look for any reason to not U-turn somebody.
The best thing about this is the fact that it has zero effect, because Leo and Jamal still don't trust them.
Yeah.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's like they want to dig their own grave every time they see somebody.
I'm going to miss Rachel and Elitha from this season, mainly because Michelle gets inexplicably angry about their existence.
You know what other record Rachel has now?
Not really angry.
The record that Rachel now has is, I believe she's the only racer ever who has had a U-turn used against her in 3 different seasons.
Yeah, she is actually, isn't she?
Yeah, Leo and Jamal don't even have that record. Unless there's another U-turn between now and the end, and I have a feeling there's not going to be any more U-turns.
They might squeeze one in, maybe in about leg 10. I don't know anything about U-turns, by the way, I just knew that this was coming. So, when the hall opens, Phil meets them there to announce that this season's Leg 8 twist is face-to-face U-turn nominations. And they've drawn 4 order as to who gets to nominate in what order. The 2 teams with the most votes will be U-turned for this leg.
And it was confirmed by Tyler Oakley. He sent an email to me, and he said that if there's a tie for who gets the second U-turn, that there would have been a revote.
Now, few things to discuss on the whole preamble from this, because, number one, I did go back after my rant last week and check whether I was right that Phil said that Switzerland has the oldest democracy. He changed it in both the adverts for this week's episode and the actual episode to Switzerland believes it has the oldest democracy in the world, which, spoilers, it doesn't after last week.
So Switzerland's just wrong and uneducated.
Yeah, but the preview for this week, at the end of last week's episode, did indeed say that Switzerland has the oldest democracy in the world, which is horseshit. Or bullshit, actually, after this week. Number 2, what is it with Amazing Race wanting to do some sort of twist around leg 7 or 8 to just shake things up now?
I had that in my notes too, like, is this just going to be the new tradition?
Yeah, last season we had the partner swap. This season we have the face-to-face U-turn nominations. What's it going to be in 32?
I guess they just want to experiment with these one-off twists, and if the audience likes any of them, then it can be a permanent fixture, and if they don't, it can just be something that people slightly remember the season for. Although I think a lot of people have probably forgotten the partner swap because of how little effect it had on the season.
And my final question before we actually get into this, how would you have played the face-to-face U-turn nominations? Would you have gone for a team like Colin and Christie, or would you have maybe done it a bit more strategically?
Where am I in the voting? Because that's the thing that irked me about this twist, is that you had to randomly draw for the order, and there's a huge disadvantage with going first as opposed to last.
Yeah.
If you go last, nobody can bounce back and vote you. You can just vote for whoever the hell you want if you're the last one to vote.
I mean, I will just randomly pick a team for you to replace here. Tyler and Corey.
Didn't Tyler and Corey just throw away their votes on Nicole and Victor?
Yeah, they did indeed. How would you have played it if you were 6th of 7 in the running order?
Let's see. Well, then at that point, you would just go for, assuming the strongest team isn't team number 7 in the voting, you would just vote against the strongest team?
No, if I was at the end of the voting, I would vote for whoever voted for me. So it's like tit for tat. Then you can't say you're targeting anyone because you're just targeting the people who did you. And that's what Colin and Christie did. They said, well, we're just going to get Rachel and Elitha because they did us. I think Chris and Brett's idea of saying, look, this is the team we weren't very close to, I think that's a good reason, but also saying the most competitive team, Colin and Christie, is also another good reason. I wouldn't go randomly for another team without a reason, but it'd obviously be better to be near the bottom than you could just do the team who did you.
Here's what I would have done. I would have said, sorry, Nicole and Victor, but I need a buffer. It's a guaranteed elimination leg. Because the point of doing a U-turn, if you're going to do a U-turn, is to try and guarantee that a team goes home and you don't have to face the wrath. You go for Nicole and Victor, no matter what happens, they're probably going.
Not Rachel and Elitha?
No, you keep Rachel and Elitha in because they have a terrible average. Nicole and Victor already have a speed bump coming. If you give them both sides of the detour, they're probably gone.
Yeah, okay.
And you keep Rachel and Elitha in as a buffer. And then you're pretty much guaranteed top 5.
And I think Nicole and Victor probably would have gone home if they had to do both sides of the detour this leg.
100%. It's going to be very interesting next week, assuming we get any departure times, to see how close everyone was. Because I would put money on Colin and Christie probably having won this leg if they weren't U-turned, given how bloody good they were at both sides of the detour and how good Colin was at the roadblock. And
they wouldn't have done the cow thing. They would have chosen the physical labor task if they only had to do one side of the detour, which was the one they were much faster at.
Yeah. And Victor misunderstands the rules and thinks that they're going to vote twice regardless, because he's a ditz.
I don't know. Rachel and Elitha. Wait, I don't know. You can't vote for I don't know, Nicole. That's not a name of a team. I guess I'm just going to vote for, I don't know, Joey and Kelsey.
So Rachel and Elitha, Leo and Jamal, and Becca and Floyd all vote for Colin and Christie. Nicole and Victor vote for Leo and Jamal. Colin and Christie and Chris and Brett vote for Rachel and Elitha. And Tyler and Corey vote for Nicole and Victor, meaning that it's Colin and Christie and Rachel and Elitha doing both sides of the detour.
I find it hilarious that after, getting to the finish line twice, running 8 legs on this season, Rachel is so close to crossing the finish line 3 times. And who's the reason for why she's eliminated for the first time ever from Amazing Race? Chris and Brett. That's her kryptonite. Her kryptonite is the football player turned trial lawyer and the gay sergeant from season 33 of Survivor who were under-edited. They're the ones.
The gay sergeant, best friend of Joey Covino.
Yes. They're the ones who are responsible for Rachel O'Reilly's elimination. What kind of CBS reality world do we live in where that's our reality?
And she is fuming at them. It's very funny.
Is she still fuming at them on social media?
I'm not sure.
She's usually pretty good at getting over all the conflict after a season's over.
She was very angry at them.
I like how they were trying to make her and Elitha were making old people jokes directed towards them. Like, Chris and Brett have been kicking ass for the past, as long as it's not dancing, they've been doing really well the past 4 or 5 legs in a row. They almost won. They were so close to winning this leg. You can't really say they're like old people. I mean, they're not Mel White.
They were 6th last week, thanks to the directions.
Right. Like Mel White, if he had to do that William Tell crossbow challenge, the osteoporosis would have done him in.
Did you notice we got some praise for you continually mentioning Mel White?
Yes, I saw that.
We did?
Yeah.
Who?
On the YouTube video. I can't even remember who it was. Someone posted a comment a couple of days ago saying, good on Logan for continually mentioning Mel White. Let me get the exact quote. I thought you would have spotted this. You usually Google your own name.
Yeah, I have so many Google alerts.
It was Sean Pierce who said, thank you, Logan, for bringing up Mel White once again. He needs to be mentioned every podcast, in my opinion. So, your wish is Logan's command.
That's awesome. Like, I almost uploaded this as a meme, actually, on my blog, but do you remember the Dwight K. Schrute quote from The Office about idiots?
Yeah.
Where it's like, and if I think if an idiot would do that thing, then I do not do that thing. And I found one words replaced where it says, if Mel White would die doing that thing, then I do not do that thing.
So once everyone leaves the Spielhalle, it's a detour, unless you're Nicole and Victor, which is haymaking or cow festival. And in haymaking, teams must scythe a lane of grass and rake behind it. Once the grass has been stacked properly, they'll get their next clue. And in cow festival, teams have to dress a cow in a flower crown and lead it down a path to get their next clue. Now, which one would you guys have done?
Scythe.
Yeah, the Harvest Moon task.
Any chance you get to not pick a task with animals, I think you don't pick a task with animals.
Especially if the only way to get the animal to move is to yank on its tail.
Oh my gosh, that wasn't good.
But also first we have to discuss maybe my favourite speed bump ever.
Folding flags.
Fold 26 flags.
It's a switchback.
They're helping. They're taking down the set.
This is what I mean. We have railed against speed bumps for years because they're pointless and useless and awful.
Well, they're not pointless. They have to be there. They have to be there as a consequence. But I love how they're just so obscure and bizarre.
This is the new sitting on an ice chair. This cannot have taken more than 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, that's all it needs to be. It just needs to be something quick.
Yeah, but what's the point of having it at all? Give them some sort of fun penalty that will not take up stupid amounts of airtime.
You know, this was another switchback. It wasn't just the William Tell task this week. You know, it's a great speed bump when it's a switchback to a task from the season premiere of Family Edition.
I was wondering where I'd seen something similar before.
See,
Yeah.
Tolstorian strikes again.
Tony Aiello got to fold the flag of America or Pennsylvania. He folded something. No, he didn't get to fold it. He got to watch somebody fold it. That was the end of the challenge.
And Colin and Christie decide to not help Rachel and Elitha, or not even talk to them, because they are their competition.
Exactly. Why would you? Why would Rachel and Elitha even think they would help them?
It's out of the Suki and Gender playbook. After you try to screw over a team, ask them for help, and hopefully they're nice enough people that they'll just give in. But you know what? We saw shades of Season 5 Colin and Christie this week, but with their own flavor.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think maybe they would have been more open to helping Rachel and Elitha if Rachel and Elitha hadn't just voted for them and they hadn't just voted for Rachel and Elitha. If they'd both been dumped into that situation without really going for each other at all, then it would be a different story. But they both targeted each other, and therefore, yeah, it's kind of a game on mole situation.
Yeah, I think you're right, Michael. If Rachel and Elitha hadn't U-turned Colin and Christie, I think Colin and Christie would have been helpful enough, sort of work together to beat at least one other team. But the fact that it's like, especially when Rachel was blowing up too after Chris and Brett voted her, she's like, that was a really dumb move, guys. We're weak. Look at Colin and Christie. They're strong. We need to murder them in their sleep. Like, if you're going to say that at the must vote U-turn, like, no matter how zen Colin and Christie are, if you want them to be killed, they're not going to want to help you.
And seeing as though we discussed how democratic Switzerland is, I think it's only fair we play another round of Play Your Democracies Right.
Sweet.
Oh, boy.
And it's not just Play Your Democracies Right, because in Michelle's honour, given her love of the all-female teams, this week is a Play Your Democracies Right Women's Suffrage Edition.
Oh, my Lord.
So as with last week, I'm going to give you a country and tell you what year they gave everyone the vote. Not just women. Most of the time it is women's suffrage, this one. Some of them are everyone, but what year they gave everyone the vote. And I'm saying everyone deliberately because there are a few trick ones in here, just to warn you now. You have to tell me whether the next one is earlier or later than the previous one.
So it's not just women voting, it's like if, people of Afghan heritage could vote?
Yep, it's everyone. No exclusions.
Universal suffrage.
Yep, Universal Suffrage Edition, this one. And before we started recording, we did flip a coin. Logan won and chose to go second. So, Michelle, you get to start. I'm going to give you the US, as is tradition. So the US gave everyone the vote in 1920. But did the UAE give everyone the vote before or after the US?
God, yeah. After.
You are correct. It was 2006. Logan Saunders, did Vietnam give everyone the vote before or after 2006?
Everyone. Yeah, I would assume before.
You would assume correctly. It was 1946.
Yeah, good old Ho Chi Minh.
Michelle, did Australia give everyone the vote before or after 1946?
Good.
This is very much in your wheelhouse, just to warn you now. And you're wrong, it's 1902.
No, it was before. God.
With the US, are you sure it was 1920? Even black people got to vote in 1920 in the US?
Yeah, women got the vote in 1920. That was where this began, Logan.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, pretty sure civil rights movement was late 50s and early 60s.
The answer's still correct with the UAE being afterwards, anyway.
I know. I'm just saying 1920. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 1920.
This all started off as women's suffrage, and then it kind of migrated into everyone by the end of my list. Logan Saunders, Trinidad and Tobago, before or after 1902?
Wasn't even a country yet. I'm going to say after.
After is correct, 1925.
Maybe Tobago got to vote, but maybe not Trinidad.
Michelle, did the UK give women the vote before or after 1925?
Before?
You would be wrong, it was 1928.
Really?
Yep. Logan, North Korea, before or after 1928?
I'm going to North Korea, so they wouldn't have technically existed yet and be independent. So I'm going to say after, because the partition didn't happen until about 1953.
1946 would be the correct answer, so you are correct.
Okay.
Michelle, this is a phrase I've been waiting all week to say to you. Did Switzerland give everyone the vote before or after North Korea?
Before.
You'd be wrong! Because it was 1991.
No way.
That's when I was born.
I shit you not, there was a canton of Switzerland that gave women the vote in 1991.
No. That's
the same time as the cows.
Yeah. Logan Saunders, Canada, before or after 1991?
If I remember my grade 10 socials class, it was before 1991.
You would be correct. It was 1960. I love how these have fallen, by the way, because it was not deliberate that Michelle got Australia and you got Canada. Michelle, the Netherlands, before or after 1960?
before.
Before is correct. Yay! Logan, Japan, before or after 1919?
Before, after 1919, after First World War. Oh no, we're talking about like imperialist Japan and stuff. I'll say they're also very conservative. After.
After is correct. 1947. I'm bringing back a classic from last week. Michelle, Isle of Man, before or after 1947?
If it's going the way of England, before.
Before is correct. 1881. Logan,
Wow.
Uganda, before or after 1881?
They weren't even independent yet, so I'm going to say after.
Correct. It was 1962. Michelle, Laos, before or after?
Oh. God, this could go either way.
This one is
I'm gonna
close,
say
I'll tell you. After, you'd be wrong. It was 1958. And Logan, for the final one, Iceland, before or after 1958?
Before.
Before is correct. It was 1915. So well done, everyone.
I believe Iceland was the first sovereign country to give women the right to vote.
You'll also notice I did not deliberately include New Zealand because that was the first country overall to give women the right to vote.
Damn it. They were a little bit...
In what year?
God knows, I can't even remember. I know it was the first one, though.
Well, it was in 18 something.
Yeah, it must have been because me and Bindles were discussing when I was picking the countries last night whether to include New Zealand or not because I thought it would be too easy for you guys.
Right.
Anyway, back to the episode. So at the haymaking detour, Becca is a natural haymaker, and she did landscaping for a couple of summers. And then Nicole and Victor surprisingly complete their speed bump really quickly. And Colin and Christie say that we have a little bit of history with bovines, and then there is a flashback to the "this is bullshit" moment. So Christie connects with her cow to pick the most cooperative one.
Yep.
And then Becca and Floyd leave haymaking in first, and teams us now drive to a farm in Oberschwanden to find their next clue. And it's Chris and Brett who leave in second, with Tyler and Corey in third, and Leo and Jamal in fourth. And then Rachel and Elitha complete Cow Festival in fifth, with Colin and Christie in sixth, but they both have to complete the other side of the detour. And Rachel and Elitha left their clue at the cow task, meaning that they need help from Colin and Christie to work out what they're doing on haymaking. And it's Nicole and Victor who leave Cow Festival in fifth.
I mean, worst case scenario, you just copy what Colin and Christie are doing. That'd actually be the smart strategy to do right from the start of the season, because then you're guaranteed to survive each leg.
Yeah, given that Colin and Christie are still very much in with the shout of getting the best All-Star average ever, and given that they are very much ahead in the average stakes for this season generally, it's certainly not a bad tactic to copy exactly what they're doing.
They're like the exact opposite of Johnny Don't. Instead of don't do what Johnny Don't does, just blatantly do what Colin and Christie do, because that works a lot.
And at the farm, it's a roadblock, which is Who Wants to Be a Big Shot? And in this roadblock, teams must recreate the William Tell story and shoot an apple off a mannequin's head. If they miss, the mannequin's arms and head will fall off, and they have to rebuild the mannequin before they can reshoot. And it is Tyler, Becca, Brett, Victor, Colin, Rachel, and Jamal doing this roadblock.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the third task they have now copied from Amazing Race 3, specific to the location too.
I believe so, yes. And did you also notice how Becca greeted her instructor for the crossbow.
Oh, I choose you, Pokemon?
She did indeed shout, "I choose you, Pokemon," at him.
I don't remember Pokemon getting crossbow shot at. I don't remember that in the anime with Ash Ketchum.
I don't know. We've had a lot of information on Generation 8 this week, and it is based in the UK. It's certainly not out of the question for there to be Poke crossbows in there.
Is that why it's called Pokemon Sword? Or like the Pokemon going to be beheaded when you capture them?
Almost certainly. I mean, it's just a medieval retelling of the Pokemon story, really. We've already had the feudal Japanese version with Pokemon Conquest, and now Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, TM, are all about the recreating medieval England. It's basically Pokemon meets Game of Thrones.
Oh man, those are going to be some interesting scenes to fast forward through.
You do not want to see the Loud Red Wedding.
Or any of the scenes in Littlefinger's brothel. Let's skip through those, please.
Pika Pika?
I really don't want to see what goes on in the nursery with those Chanseys.
See, the thing is, I can fully imagine Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu just mocking this up for YouTube. And we know from the Season 29 Panama leg that Becca is a much better archer than Floyd is, and Brett is a Boston police officer and he's a pretty good shot. And all three hit the mannequin square in the face.
Did they get to eat the apple afterwards?
I'm not sure you'd want to eat the apple given that it was probably out there all day and had literal metal sticking out of it.
You just eat around the metal. Spoken
like a true digital nomad, that Logan.
It's true, though. You just eat around it. Can't give that up. Do you know how low my food budget's been on this trip?
Yeah, thanks to you missing the flight, I do.
Yeah. 1 meal a day when I was in Egypt for over a week straight. I was doing Ramadan unintentionally.
Were you getting up at 3 a.m. to eat, though?
No, I was doing it at dinner time. I would wait till it's funny because all the families storm into all of the restaurants and fast food chains where you can't even get inside the door. But they scarf all the food down so fast that every place just empties out within half an hour after sundown because everyone's just so eager to eat and just chomps down on all the food and then gets out. So the trick was, as soon as the families left, you had an entire restaurant to yourself.
Yay!
Yeah. It's like, screw you guys.
And it's Colin and Craig, and it's Colin and
Who?
Christie.
Colin Craig?
Shut up, I'm tired. It's like 5 to midnight.
Rachel and Elitha and Colin and Craig. Man, can't believe those two teams got U-turned. Could have sworn it was Rachel and Elitha and Colin and Christie.
It's Colin Gwynn teaming up with Craig from The Mole 5. Colin lies with his eyes.
I didn't know Colin actually channeled his Dexter mode from Season 5 too, because he's very eager to shoot something.
In probably my favourite scene of the entire season so far. Colin and Christie get to the clue box, Colin opens it and says to Christie, "What are they doing, shooting?" She just goes, "Yeah," and he just goes, "Fuck yeah." Yeah.
I'm thinking, Colin and Christie are borderline Buddhist monks. Can you imagine them going to Thailand and they're, practicing with all the monks, doing all the rituals, and then let's say a police officer just hands Colin a gun and says, "Here, this is the gun I have." Colin's like, "Fuck yeah." Boom, 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 boom.
It was just so unexpected that he just turned around to Christie and went, "Fuck yeah."
Did they bleep him out or something?
Yeah, they bleeped him out, but I do indeed have a screenshot of the subtitle where it says blank yeah, where it's blatantly obvious that he reacted to a shooting challenge with "fuck yeah."
Yeah, it was pretty obvious he said that.
If it wasn't very difficult to include it, I would have made it the banner this week because it made me laugh so hard.
It's all about peace and love and meditation, being calm, and I get to shoot things. Fuck yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, who are the 3 teams that you turned me? Pow, 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 pow. I'm down to a final 4. Yeah.
Hey, Rachel and Elitha, fuck you. Hey, Leo and Jamal, fuck you. And hey, Becca and Floyd. Hey, Becca and Floyd, fuck you too.
This is your 1.
This is my 3.
This is my 3.
I honestly think that this is funnier because Michelle keeps cutting out and cannot then actually stop us swearing all the time.
This is my 3. Can you imagine? Oh my god, I have to write a script for this. That is amazing. Him just saying, this is my 3. Pow, pow, pow. Yes. I get the all-star race average now, guys.
And on the way to the roadblock, Leo and Jamal don't have a map, so they get lost.
No, I haven't finished.
I'm winding the episode back slightly before we get to the fuck yeah moment.
What I wanted to say, I don't even know if you've said this already, but I love how Brett was so surprised and freaked out at being first out of there.
We've not got to that bit yet.
Really?
I rewound it back to Leo and Jamal not having a map, and then the next one is Brett leaves the roadblock in first.
Oh, gosh.
So, Leo and Jamal get lost because they don't have a map and go like 40 minutes out of the way, and then Brett leaves the roadblock in first. And teams must now head by boat to the Grand Hotel Geeseback, the pit stop for this leg of the race. The last team to check in, as there are no more non-elimination legs, thanks Phil, will be eliminated.
Will be eliminated by Phil.
Yep. And then Tyler leaves in second. And as we mentioned, Colin has a slightly over-the-top reaction to finding out it's a shooting task, and I'm not going to keep going into it because Michelle will kill me.
Yeah.
And Colin says that he has shot a lot of normal archery, but never a crossbow.
Yeah, it's the first time where he isn't shooting at other humans.
Usually he just puts the pictures of his enemies over the mannequins' faces.
Yeah, he's like Steve Buscemi in Billy Madison.
And Becca leaves in third, with Colin in fourth, and they can either run or get the funicular up to the pit stop, and there are water bottles available at the decision point.
Are they sponsored by anybody?
I'm not sure, but I'm assuming this is in response to Floyd being on the season and dehydrating the shit out of himself.
It would have been great to have Floyd faint on another 8-leg, 8-9 or 9 or 10 again.
Did you notice what time Chris and Brett tried to get the funicular?
No, I did not.
It was about 9 o'clock in the morning, which means that this was a 2-hour leg.
You know what? That didn't surprise me because Leo and Jamal, I thought it had to be a really quick leg because Leo and Jamal said, oh, we're so far behind. We got lost for 30 to 40 minutes. I'm thinking that's not a very long time to be lost.
Would you have taken the funicular or would you have run?
I don't know. How much information do I have about where the pit stop is?
I think all the information you had was that the funiculars were every hour.
I know I wouldn't have beaten Tyler and Corey in a leg race, so I would have probably gone the funicular, seen that, and then I had to run up. But yeah, I would judge it on what the other team is, who the other team is that I'm trying to race against.
And what my position is, too. Like, if I'm at the bottom of the pack, chances are I'm not going to wait an hour for a funicular.
I'm going to give production a lot of credit in actually putting a bit of intrigue into a pit stop by giving them a choice of how to get there, rather than just half-arsing it and saying, you have to go on this marked path.
Everyone go down this narrow one-way lane.
Arguably, it was completely and utterly pointless, given that the funicular didn't run until, I think it was 10:40, but it's nice of them to actually give the option. And, yeah, Chris and Brett's terrible decision means that Tyler and Corey taken in first for the third leg on the trot. They win an actually quite decent prize, a river cruise through Vietnam and Cambodia with full meals every night and with excursions at every stop.
I know, I like that. That's a good prize.
However, it wasn't really a win, was it? Because if you think about it, the 3 legs that they've won, let's start with this one. They only really won this leg because Colin and Christie got U-turned. If Colin and Christie hadn't got U-turned, Colin and Christie would have probably had about an hour on everyone else.
In a 2-hour leg.
In a 2-hour leg, because they smoked all the tasks. Colin got out of there in about 4 shots out of that roadblock. Given that they came into the roadblock in 6th place and they left in 3rd, that should tell you all you need to know. Last week, I'll give it them, they did get to the roadblock first and therefore pretty much guaranteed themselves the leg win. The week before, however, in Uganda, they didn't really win it because it was just a parlour game between them and Colin and Christie to decide who was going to win. It's not a real win. They've only really won 1 leg properly.
And that was a super linear leg that they won.
Yeah. To say they're the biggest threats in the race is a bit wrong, given that 2 of their 3 leg wins were asterisks at best.
I know, but you can't just start judging wins.
Oh, no, I can. This is kind of the point of the podcast, Michelle. I've
God.
done it for 289 episodes now.
But you haven't really judged wins before like this.
No, I have. I'm very judgmental of leg structure. That was kind of my argument against the entirety of last week's episode, was the leg structure being awful.
Yeah, I understand that. But I don't think I've ever heard you analysing people's wins as in, well, that was sort of a win, but not really.
I certainly would not call Tyler and Corey the biggest threats of the race.
Oh, no.
Colin and Christie 100% are.
Definitely.
And the fact of the matter is, not even a U-turn can stop them. But we'll get to that in a minute. I like that teams get to drive their own boats to the pit stop as well. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, that's a bit scary.
And Chris and Brett check in second. Victor leaves the roadblock in 5th. And then we get basically a showdown between Leo and Jamal and Rachel and Elitha as to who gets the leg appearance record. And Colin and Christie check in 3rd. And I'm going to do a bit of a sidebar here because, trivia fans, when was the last time that any team checked in top 3 after being U-turned?
A long time ago.
Can you name that team?
Holy hell, let's see. Give me a second. Was it in season 24?
It was indeed.
Holy hell.
Good guess.
Jeez.
Maybe you're actually starting to think why I might be bringing this up, Logan.
Was it... Brendan and Rachel? No, wait, no. Let's back that up. They didn't actually have to... They weren't directly affected by the U-turn. Was it Dave and Connor?
Oh, wrong way. Leo and Jamal.
Leo and Jamal. Damn it. I knew it was one of the two.
It was Leo and Jamal in Oviedo, who checks in 3rd. And Colin and Christie now become the 3rd team ever in US history to make top 3 after being U-turned. There's only one team who got 2nd. And I know Logan loves this leg so much. It was Bill and Kathy in Denmark.
No way!
Yep, Bill and Kathy are the only team ever in US history to get 2nd place after being U-turned.
Wow.
So yeah, Colin and Christie setting more records. And this is going to lead on to something towards the end of the episode because there's a few records still available. There's still the leg appearance record because Leo and Jamal can overtake Rachel now. All they have to do is make it to leg 11. Colin and Christie and Tyler and Corey can both set the leg win record for a career because Tyler and Corey are currently tied with 8 wins. Colin and Christie have 7, but of course there's still 4 legs left to run. So Colin and Christie and Tyler and Corey can both set the leg win record. We also have a potential bit of a fun streak given that there are now 5 teams in a row who've gone home last in the rankings from the teams who are left, which has never happened before. And also Rachel and Elitha become the 3rd team on the trot to go home with exactly the same amount of teams beaten on average, which is 2.5 per leg. True story.
Rightio.
So anyway, let's finish this episode up. Rachel says, I don't see anything through that hole. And then Jamal leaves in 6th, with Rachel leaving in last. And she breaks the speakers when she leaves. She screams a lot. And you know what else we know about Rachel? I mean, she's had such an illustrious job history.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, fun fact. That was pretty much what I guessed your reaction whenever I shoehorn Rachel's job list into this, Michelle. And spoilers.
Come on, let's hear it.
Spoilers, just because she's gone home this week doesn't mean this is going to stop.
What? Who has to?
I'm going to shoehorn this in every week that I can.
Oh, God.
Because I love these lists too much.
Especially when we don't know which Rachel you're talking about, because there's been a lot of Rachels to run the Amazing Race after several years, so we need to exactly know which one you're talking about.
Okay, I'll give you a few hints. This Rachel has been a career change consultant, a Tongan twister, a Belgian waffler, a French tickler, Italian plumber, Brazilian waxwork, Mexican standee, romance novelist, sandwich, Madagascan hissing cockroach, Egyptian walker, Moroccan roller, Kenyan canyoner, Nigerian prince, Malteser, Georgia peach, Fijian BG, Portuguese man of war, Greek bearing gifts, Czech bouncer, Vegas, jive turkey, Great Dane, racing Finn, and I think you'll agree, an all-around sweetheart.
Did you call her a Malteser?
Let me see which one I predicted to Bindles. I don't think it was that one. I thought you'd go for Fijian BG first.
No, Malteser. Like, do you know that's a chocolate here in Australia? I don't know whether it's a chocolate wherever you are.
Yeah, it's a chocolate.
Yeah, there's a few great puns in there. This is probably my favourite list. I mean, Romance Novelist is an absolute god tier one from Bindles. He's had that on since last week because he was disappointed he didn't use it last week. I mean, you have to say that she is Vegas because she is.
What was that last one?
Sweetheart.
Yeah.
All around sweetheart.
I think Bindles missed one. I'm pretty sure. Did you hear about Rachel's latest job? And she picked up a job as a Comoran comatose comptroller.
How did she?
Yes. She went into Southeast Africa and became a Comoran comatose comptroller.
You know it's bad when Logan starts suggesting Rachel's job list.
Oh,
or a delicious Mauritius. Delicious, malicious Mauritius.
And one other thing that I noticed about Colin and Christie when they checked in is that Colin was wearing the Jaguar tooth this week.
He's probably been wearing it every week, but you just don't.
No, Christie had it last week. Because they shouted out that Christie was wearing the Jaguar tooth to give her centeredness or whatever it was.
That's right. Yeah.
And Becca and Floyd check in fourth, and they regret voting for Colin and Christie. And Colin says that he forgives them for now, and this is their one.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really want to see Beck and Floyd test Colin and Christie again. Like, what happens? What happens next?
What happens if another U-turn appears and Colin and Christie are in first? Will they use it?
I don't know. Maybe they just don't, because, like, if you know you can kick everyone's ass each leg, why would you?
Yeah, but spite is a very fun thing.
And spite from Colin Gwynn and Christy Woods is an even better thing.
Yeah. I think that we're probably going to see one in, like, 10. I don't know whether there's any more U-turns, but I can't see them ending it in, like, 8. Because the whole point of this week's U-turn vote is to then stir things up a little bit so that when another U-turn appears, people are more likely to use it.
And it's not a very big deal if Colin and Christy use a final U-turn on somebody, because in another 15 years, everyone will have forgotten that they used a U-turn.
Exactly.
When's the latest U-turn been?
Final 5 is the latest U-turn we tend to see.
Never been at Final 4? No, wait. What about season 13?
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was penultimate leg. So that's the one Dan and Andrew randomly got. Wasn't that the leg Tony and Dallas got eliminated?
Because I thought it was the non-elimination they used it for, though.
There's two really weird circumstances that led to Dan and Andrew. Oh, no, they just had to do the speed bump.
Yeah, it's the speed bump, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there was a U-turn then. But there definitely was a Final Four. There was a Final Four U-turn, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a Final Four U-turn, but it was on the non-elimination leg.
And same with Amazing Race Canada. They did a Final Four U-turn as well. That was the weird one. I don't think a lot of people don't know about this story, but in the first season of Amazing Race Canada, they had the Final Four U-turn on the non-elimination leg, but everyone knew it was going to be a non-elimination, so everyone just said, we're not going to bother with using it. So it just went dead.
There's an Amazing Race Canada?
There used to be. It ended 3 years ago.
Yeah, this must have been a while ago. So, Leo and Jamal taking in 6th, with Rachel and Elitha checking in last, and they are eliminated from the race for the first time in 32 legs for Rachel. And Elitha says that they win at life.
I told Brendan on Twitter that now he has to run the race with Elitha to prove who is the better racer between him and Rachel, because this will be the only way to break the tie.
And I think it's only fair, given that she loves them so much, that Michelle should eulogise Rachel and Elitha. As a fellow mum, how do you feel about this?
No.
I guess it's on me then. So, 2 seasons of Big Brother, 3 seasons of Amazing Race, nearly 3 full seasons of Amazing Race. So we've had 5 total appearances from Rachel. She's made it to 3 finales. And made it close to a 4th finale, and made it halfway through, through BB12? She was just over halfway through?
Yep, she was first juror.
Right. So, will we see Rachel rack up a 6th season?
No.
No.
Do you think her career stops here? This is the end of her CBS career? Minus cameos?
I think it's a natural place for it to stop.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
But do you think that's what's going to happen?
I'm not sure.
Because we're now in this weird territory where, well, if you know anything about Survivor 40, we're going to see a lot of people that are going to hit that 4th and even 5th appearance as a contestant. And Rupert's at 5-2 now.
True. And don't forget that Elitha had about 2/3 of a Big Brother season herself as well.
And she was actually quite a character this season for Amazing Race, so there's a good chance Elitha could keep playing on different shows.
Did you see her on Races Recap?
No, I did not.
It was basically a 10-minute commercial for the Drop Method fitness app.
I got a message, Justin.
Justin seemed to enjoy it.
He was amused?
Yeah, she basically told us nothing on air. Apparently she was spilling everything off air, but she didn't say anything really on air.
How is Races Recap? Because the time zones are terrible for me, so I haven't been able to watch it live. But have they been able to get much information from the contestants that they've gotten on, like with Brett?
Honestly, I've not been able to watch much either. Last week was the first week I was able to watch live since the preview because of my work schedule.
Right.
And because even in the week where I would have been able to stay up late because it was a bank holiday over here last week, I was having to be up early because I was on the radio in the morning. So I still couldn't actually watch live.
And I think we were talking about before how their viewership's gone way down even from season 30. And actually, I guess with that out of the way, let's talk about the ratings for this season. In the words of Rupert, the ratings are not good. They're winning the time slot, but it's summer, there's no competition, and it's below 4 million viewers. That is not a good sign.
That's the thing. Whenever you see anything like, oh, we're winning our time slot, you have to then think, but is there a punchline to this? And the answer is yes. Yes, there is a punchline to this. They're winning their time slot in summer, when nobody watches TV.
And Big Brother, when Big Brother's on during summer, they pull in about 6 million viewers, and Amazing Race Canada. Amazing Race is getting below 4 million. They got 5 million or over 5 million for the premiere, and then they lost 1 million the following week, and I guess it's just kept going down.
Yeah, I think it's the quality of this season. I know we've still got about 3 weeks left until we can actually properly eulogise this season, and whether the winning team will improve or detract from my enjoyment of the season is yet to be seen. But I think this season has been much worse than it probably should have been. The cast was decent for this season, and I think due to a lot of the big characters going out early, due to the weird elimination schedule, due to the lackluster tasks and countries, they've not had a good season.
I think the ratings probably would have been higher not to stroke Rupert's ego some more, but if Rupert had lasted longer, I think the ratings would have kept growing. Just because Rupert hadn't been on a CBS show for over about 6 years now since his little cameo in Blood versus Water. So we're pretty much closing in on 10 years, and Rupert's still pretty much a legend. So
yeah, he's loved.
So I think if Rupert had hung around beyond episode 2, I think the ratings would be slightly different at this point in terms of the goal of having this big crossover crowd from Survivor Big Brother.
Yeah. So, next time, Amazing Race returns to Croatia. There is a flight scramble pitting Nicole and Victor against Becca and Floyd, and Colin and Christie make waves on an inflatable boat.
And I am going to that city in just over a week from now.
You're going to that city about a day after we actually record the podcast.
I guess I'll know what places to check out.
Yes, you will. Have you already got your inflatable couch ready to be towed behind the boat in Splits Harbour?
Yes, I'm going to try and find it.
I will say this now. Croatia, as a country, has one of the worst records for good legs of Amazing Race. There have been 2 appearances by Croatia, and both legs have been pretty bad. The Australia 3 one especially is awful.
That was the super duper linear one, right?
That was the Kat and Jesse Memorial, here's 2 roadblocks, they're identical episode.
Yeah, I remember.
That was when they climbed a wall, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was when one of them had to climb a wall and one of them had to climb a wall in a different way.
Did I podcast about that episode? I feel like we trashed it pretty good.
I don't think so. I don't think you really...
No,
you didn't.
I did it with Ben.
You didn't get involved in Australia 3. I made a cameo in one of the episodes, but you didn't, I don't think.
That was like, I think Peach just posted, it was like 5 years ago since that aired.
Yes.
So, what are your predictions for next week? Who are you putting in check, Michelle? Sorry, wrong podcast.
God. I don't know. It could be... You know what? I'm always thinking Chris and Brett will go.
Are Chris and Brett going to continue the streak of the lowest average team going home the next time? Because they would make it 6.
You know what? I think there's a high probability that them or Nicole and Victor would go next.
Okay.
Let's just assume the trend will continue and that Chris and... Maybe there'll be a Croatian dancing challenge and Chris and Brett will be screwed over.
I do already know one challenge from next week, and I'm not going to be a happy bunny with it.
Let's say
Why?
Chris and Brett go home then.
There is a rapping challenge.
Woohoo!
Which means that Becca and Floyd are probably going to do quite well. And I am not going to be a happy bunny of having to talk about people doing terrible raps.
I've spent enough time in Croatia to know there is no rap community there. Or very little of it.
Well, there's only one way to find out. So have you guys got anything else you want to say?
No, that's about it.
Okay. One final correction I actually have to make from last week. I did say that the record for the earliest final non-elimination leg is 9. It actually is final 8 in Hammerot's 4. I did get corrected.
Oh, shit.
I know.
Do your research.
People putting me in check. But yeah, I got corrected, so thank you to the literally ones of people who actually mentioned that.
This is your one, Michael.
I know, this is my one. So, thank you for listening to this URT Number podcast. You can join us next week for another episode. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact us on our Facebook page, Reality TV Warriors, on our Twitter account, RTV Warriors, or on Twitter pages, MJ Armstrong for me, Locus of Cracky for Logan, and Bear3 for Michelle. See you next week.
Bye.
Peace out and just chill till the next episode.
Yeah.